Welcome to the Thursday, it is Thursday, September 25th meeting of the Board of Selectmen and Finance Appropriation and Advisory Committee. We do not have a quorum of the FAA tonight, but they will be weighing in. So welcome, thank you. This meeting is being recorded. Without objection, the Chair of the Board of Selectmen will facilitate item 4 on the agenda with the understanding that the FAA Chair will chair the FAA Committee. Although, again, there won't be any voting, but we will be concurrently including allowable discussion, questions, business, or motions requested or required under item 4. To get started, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up, we have approval of minutes for September 8th, 2025. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Citizens' comments. Does anyone from the public wish to speak on a matter not already on the agenda? Okay, seeing none, we're moving to item 4, joint meeting with the FAA. So we're going to review options for the supplemental budget, including FAA recommendations for final supplemental amounts and use of free cash with discussion. Final votes for the October 2020, the October 20th, 2025 special town meeting warrant articles. FAA votes recommendations for articles and takes any other action relative thereto. Part 2, October 20th, 2025 special town meeting warrant articles. Board of Selectmen votes on recommendations for each article and to approve warrant or take any other action relative thereto. And then finally, the Board of Selectmen votes to authorize the town administrator to make final revisions to the town meeting warrant as recommended by town council, provided such revisions are limited to legal edits and corrections and do not alter the intent or substance of articles as approved by the FAA and Board of Selectmen. So I'm going to pass it over to Chairman Matt.
Thank you, Chairman. The FAA does not have a quorum this evening. However, we are having a scheduled meeting for the night of the supplemental meeting, so we'll be able to vote on any recommendations at that point. I will try to set up another FAA, just FAA only meeting before then. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll be able to set something up and get some votes on some of these items.
Okay, perfect. So how do you want to do this? Do we want to run through this right now?
Madam Chair, we could start with maybe the town accountant can give us a brief overview of the town's current financial status.
Perfect. Hi.
Good evening, everyone. As you know, we ended up the year in June and made efforts to get the books closed. The auditors were in. When we look at expenditures for the year, we spent basically, we had $24 million that was in the budget last year, and we spent just about all of it except for $5,000. So very tight operating there. And if you remember, I'm talking into this thing.
You're in stereo.
Okay, all right. If you remember when we set the tax rate last fall, in December actually, we lowered the estimated cash receipts in a strategic effort to be able to maximize the levy capacity of the tax rate. In so doing, we did collect more cash, about $1.3 million more than we had originally estimated. So the way that all flows is that we're hoping that it generates free cash that we'll be able to use to bring back some of the expenditures that we had to cut in the first pass of the 26 budget. I don't know how much more. We've worked collaboratively as a finance team and with the departments to look at their proposed budgets, or what they originally were, what expenses we've become aware of in the interim since May to now, and make recommendations for consideration for restoring budget amounts and preparing the supplemental budget. So it's the same form that you had last time round. It's got an additional column. The orange column highlights the amounts that we want to add into the supplemental budget. So I believe you've had a chance to look at it. I don't know if you have any questions on the line items. Do you want me to continue on, John, or talk?
I think just basically that what we would recommend doing tonight is, of course, replace the money used in May to balance back into stabilization, both from capital and regular stabilization, and then provide for those supplemental amounts as requested from the departments. We'll see where we stand, if there's any remaining free cash in May.
Is, how much, did we certify free cash yet, or do we have a?
No, we haven't filed until we just completed signing paperwork for a borrowing, of which that would have offset our free cash, so we wanted to wait until that was finalized. So we are in the process of waiting to hear from the state to see what the certified amount is.
You know what the estimated certified amount might be?
I'm gonna guess it's somewhere between 1 million and 1.3 million.
Okay, all right. Any questions for Sarah?
Yeah.
So in addition, Mr. Chair, we have Article 3, which is the supplemental budget. Articles 4 and 5 were two articles that we deferred in May. That's for the Board of Assessors. They have the cyclical inspections and the reval services. We have an unpaid bills article. Article 7 is the borrowing for Eagle Drive water line, $14.2 million. There will be another public hearing with DEP, Ty and Bond, Weston Sampson, and Town Council will be here on October 6th, and that's at 6:30. All of the residents affected by the water line have been notified by U.S. Postal Service. We're posting it on social media as well. I believe it's up there now. It's going to be on the website with the agenda posted. So there'll be a brief presentation from Weston, Sampson, Ty and Bond, and people are encouraged to attend the informational session and attend the meeting as well. Because I think a lot of the feedback we got last time was that people thought the water line was all set, and it was the selectmen's prerogative to put it in, but of course, it requires town meeting confirmation to approve the borrowing, which requires a 2/3 majority. And so many of those residents were under the impression they were getting a water line, but didn't go and vote on it. So whether you're for it or against it, come and make your voices heard on October 20th at the town meeting. As you recall, the town meeting also approved borrowing in May for the cost of mitigation and remediation for the POET systems along Eagle Drive neighborhood and in the area. That amount was for $349. That's borrowed. We're about $121 as of today into that amount, almost to $122. And that only predicated the amount needed through December 31st. So there's another article on there to borrow for the remainder of the fiscal year, which is December 31st through June 30th. And that amount is $222,615. Where did we get that amount? It's in the supporting documents. I printed out some supporting documents there. It's directly from Safewell and Weston and Sampson. And I think as we go through the supplemental requests, one of the things we'll take a look at is we've been talking a little bit about the health insurance increases. Police saw an increase. The chief is here tonight. He can speak to that. We have the earmark, the $600,000 for the bridge. If you look at the supporting documents, that entire project is all spec'd out. It comes out to 908 bottom line with contingency. Bottom line for that is just under 1.3 million for that bridge. 600 will be from an earmark. We have 600 set aside from Chapter 90. And I'm proposing an additional 135 to put into the grant and project design line item for various different reasons, to make sure we have enough to cover the bridge, which is supposed to be done by June 30th, in order for that earmark. Otherwise, we have to file for an extension. And we also have some other projects coming up, which includes a removal of a dam, which is through grant funding, but there's a matching amount that the town is proposing to pick up through actual labor provided by our highway department. But we want to make sure that if we don't make that mark, we have a little bit extra to put towards that grant fund, which is, I think it's $570,000 for the Carpenter Pond Dam. Our legal expenses have increased dramatically for various different reasons, which includes negotiating a new contract with our town hall employees, some Board of Health issues, and so forth. So I'm proposing an additional $55,000 into legal on top of what's in there now. We had a seasonal part-time employee, a retiree, or came back and covered land use, the land use office, for the last year or so for us. It's always been had been a full-time position. We've never filled it, but now we filled it. So that's an additional request for $27,000 in a line item. The highway fell short with the amount of snow and ice we had last year. So we're proposing an additional $15,000 to put into the snow and ice removal line item. As you recall, that line item, once you fund it at a certain level, you can never go back on it. So we're very conservative with what we're putting into it. We're also funding FAA reserve for the usual amount of $25,000. Council on Aging didn't get funded. Generally, we put an additional $10,000 in Council on Aging every year. We held off in May. The Selectmen have always made it clear that that's a priority as well, whenever we can do it. And so I wanted to replace that $10,000 that we've done for them in the past years into the budget. And IT, we're gonna start replacing some desktop PCs, and we had a few issues where our switches failed both at the same time. So we're asking for an additional, what is it? Was it 21, Sarah? Does that sound right?
It's so little.
24.
Even though we try to make it big. 1 second. It is $55.90 for the switches. And then the equipment is 16.
It's 21-ish.
Yeah.
And there's other additions to the budget, but I thought those were more noteworthy to bring up. So, fire away, I guess.
I don't know, did you want to go through each one of these directly as?
I dream about these line items, so it's up to you.
So, I mean, you can go through and then we can, I guess we'll ask questions as we get to them.
Sure.
I don't see a lot in here, like, other than what you mentioned about police and insurance and the legal, but if you wanted to go through them, that's fine.
Yeah, the big nugget is the health insurance, I think.
What sheet is that one?
Okay, so that's gonna be under the treasurer's budget,
Okay.
so 145.
Is everyone up to date on this health insurance changes?
Yeah, there was a change in that.
It was an increase.
Oh, it was a decrease. You decreased it. Like within the last couple of days.
When we originally looked at it, we were trying to come up with a good number when we had our finance team meetings, and we just, as a placeholder, threw 20% into what had been budgeted in May. But now we've adjusted it down for the few months into the year that we're at, and I think Rich and Sarah are in
Yeah.
somewhat of agreement that it should be sufficient until we get a final adjusted number.
It's a very volatile number. It's contingent upon who takes what, so you can never really guess. So, it can range, so you kind of have to take a best educated guess at it. So the way we calculated the increase is we took the budgeted amount for 26 times 20%. So we added on the 20%, but we only added on 9 out of the 12 months.
Right.
So that's where that's coming from.
So what ended up happening here? We had a town meeting, May 23rd or something like that. We passed the budget. We had the line item
Yep.
on that. A couple months later, we're at 177.
Right.
So what happened?
The premiums are adjusted. I think Rich might be
Maybe
able.
Rich could come this way so they don't have to turn around and look at them.
I can show.
Good evening. For the health insurance, we had an original number. We had our enrollments, projected hires for what was going to be that set rate increase. As the May numbers came in for the Hampshire Council of Governments Insurance Trust, those appear in June. And we have June numbers in July, which were reasonably, they ate up half a month's worth of additional premium. The Hampshire Council of Governments Insurance Trust is a self-funded unit. So in a perfect world, you have 3 months in reserve. If 1 month is great, meaning there are lower claims, then instead of whatever carrier making money, the trust was able to add to their funds in reserve. So over the course of the last 6 months, instead of gradual declines or almost a seesaw in increased claims and decreased claims, it was a spike. And the decision was made, given the amount of reserves that were remaining, to do a mid-year increase in addition to end the use of GLP-1s for off-label use. So we're getting down into the rabbit hole. From 100 feet away, there was a mid-year change. So we're not specifically adding people with this budget. We are going through and addressing a mid-year rate increase, which the trust had maybe 05, 06, and it's anecdotal because we weren't there. And that's how this is being addressed. So if you're talking about items like plan design, dollars in reserve, you had unpredictably large claims. The last 6 months of 2024 for medical claims were positive, meaning the trust was making money. It's when you get into the first 6 months of 2025 and you aggregate all of the drug use to the GLP-1s, which are now ending. So they went through and they've put together a cash flow with the adjusted premiums. So for September, when that's closed out, it'd be the first month of the increased 20% premium, and it's going to be the first month where CVS Caremark has no GLP-1 for the off-label use, whether it's a sleep apnea or the Jardians, Wegovy, all of those advertisements at the halftime show are a great driver, and the official use for them is supposed to be for blood sugar. You're supposed to be diabetic to use it, but if you use it off-label, there are other benefits for it.
Okay.
So it's to address the mid-year increase in premium.
So the I guess the highest percentage increase was for the shot, basically, is what you're saying?
Which is now ending.
Right.
So,
This
and,
was-
and the trust is mapped out to have a 3-month reserve to sort of offset the gains and the losses. That's in addition to going through, and if you heard me mention, CVS Caremark administers all of the prescription drugs. So there is a separate person that goes through and sort of combs through to get additional rebates. There are several programs like that to identify high-cost centers to be able to address them. Right now, the GLP-1s was the number one cost driver, and it's been eliminated. And it's not really the trust that's doing it, it's Blue Cross and CVS Caremark. So they're addressing diabetes, obesity, however you want to, all of those off-brand uses separately. So it's
Yeah, it's interesting because I was looking at their financials, and they were taking large claims in the beginning of 2025 for these things.
correct.
I'm just curious why they weren't able to, by the time middle of May ran around, why didn't they make adjustments in their premiums? Why were they using reserves rather than not adjusting the premiums at the time? Because most towns that have this stuff now are into their supplemental budget, and they're all getting hit with this.
Right. The closeout of the year was an abnormality. There were quotes, there were twice as many people with claims over 100,000. So it's utilization. So whether or not you have no deductible, modest deductible, or high deductible plans such as the 5 and 10,000 where you hit that threshold where your health savings account comes into play, it doesn't matter. You had more sick people, and the more recent report is that trend is continuing. It's not people using designer drugs, it's utilization. So beyond that, and I'm parroting what the information was being distributed at the meeting through a person from Blue Cross, the executive director, and their person who does the negotiating for the reinsurance and the prescription drug contracts. So these are the people who are allowed to see the claims, and everything is aggregated. There are 73 units, and it's not. They don't point to Dudley, they don't point to Charlton, they don't point to South Hadley that says these are the cost drivers. Everything is aggregated against the book of municipal business. So at the end of the year, when there's the summary, they're going to say, okay, mental health, per subscriber treatment was at, below, or above. Certain things you do well at, certain things you don't do well at, but it's very subtle to be able to guide illness. So this is in reaction to this going up.
Did anybody get fired over there for this?
It's utilization. The auditors have gone through. It's not somebody's next door neighbor's dog is not getting a check.
No, I understand utilization.
These are the numbers as they're
The
coming
fact that they don't
through.
reconcile a little
No,
earlier on the claims and wait.
I couldn't tell you when the main numbers were finalized and what the main numbers included.
You can't set your budget in a town with a certain number and then every year come back and say, well, here's another 250, here's another 250 because we didn't set our premiums properly. Is there any alternatives to this?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
If you look at the breakdown of the supplemental under expenses, it's under the Selectmen's budget. It's the 122,5700.
Yep.
We've asked, as part of the supplemental, to add $10,000 so that we can put out an RFP, which we're working on right now with council, for an independent healthcare consultant, just to request proposals to take an independent look at our current plan and if it's the best deal and situation.
Does the state offer anything?
The state does.
There's a state broke too.
The state does, but you have to notify the state by December 31st in order to become part of that, right? That sound right?
December 1st for the GIC enrollment, in which case you'll never make a health insurance decision again. You're on your own, whatever the state has set up. Anecdotally, $240 million went to bail out the GIC this year. So.
We're looking at groups, we've had several meetings. Sarah has come with us, and Olivia, with Webster, Charlton, Bay Path. They're all interested in doing the same thing, independent healthcare consulting, and see if maybe we can band together and see if there's a better alternative for us, because
What's the solvency of the current one?
that's what that's what the legislature is trying to determine, I think.
Okay.
But we don't want to be caught, the reason we're going out for an independent consultant is because we don't want to be the non-expert people making that decision here tonight. We want to have an independent consultant take a look at it and see what the solvency is, if this is still a good deal for Dudley, or if there's a better way to go to move forward.
Mr. Siganovich?
You mentioned bailout for the GIC. I know there was a request for a bailout for this trust through the state. Any movement on that? No?
None.
I didn't think so.
There's, if I could, they have been in constant contact. They've requested to be at the meetings. They've requested information as it's been distributed. No discussion of a promise other than a reinforcement that December 1st is the day you need to be moving to the GIC.
If the GIC is the best way to move. And that's what we're trying to find out.
Mr. Sullivan?
So, I think the question I have, fiscally last year, we set the budget. What was the increase in health insurance at that point? It was double figures, I know that, but I remember the exact number.
18 and 20? It depended on the plan.
So we set our budget fiscally, and Treasurer Collector, who's on the e-board of the trust, just said the last 6 months of last year was positive. But all of a sudden, by May, even with the increase already baked in, we're upside down 20%. I don't understand. I'm not an insurance guy. I don't understand how that trend, we can talk about GLPs all we want, but I don't understand how that trend went underwater so fast. And I'm not sure if, I haven't talked to Mr. Reuter a little bit about it. I'm not sure if we ever got an answer. I don't know if Rich has that answer.
When the rates were set in January of '24 for fiscal '25, there was 3 months plus of run out, and there was discussion, do we need the rate increase that we do? That was part of the discussion with the legislature. Those who had attended, when those rates were set, you're having your annual meeting January, maybe February, to put things into place, and you're trying to predict 18 months out. And your medical claims were spot on from 7/1/24 till 12, maybe mid-December. They were trending positive because we were able to get that report. It is the other factors. There are more sick people. I think Mr. Siganovich had referenced it. There were twice as many people with claims over 100,000. There was a report for June into July, twice as many cancer incidents. And again, this is the information that could be shared in a public meeting. So its utilization is what it is.
So I'm just.
If a stronger report is required, absolutely. I'd be happy to take the specific questions and get a response drafted by Joe Shea. And there are people at Blue Cross, and there are people at CVS Caremark, and their consultant. I don't want to speak out of turn, and I'm not the person sitting down with the spreadsheet trying to identify what the underwriter has gone through and given to us. I'm happy to make sure that that response is provided.
So I'm just, and again, I just, in my own mind, when Rich, you say your meeting was your budget, and then we talk about the cost, your cost, you're talking the trust as a whole, right? Because we can't break out, you just said we can't break out Dudley's
Correct.
cost.
Correct. So to go one step beyond that, the town has reached out to get its claims data. Right now, it's not known whether the town of Dudley, as it sits as part of the trust, helps the trust, hurts the trust, or is right somewhere in the middle. So when your healthcare consultant goes to put together a new joint purchase group to see if that makes sense, then you'll know who the drivers of the cost were.
So the independent, again, I'm out of the loop, I'm not the chairman anymore. So the independent consultant would be able to get the information germane to Dudley, even though you just said before they can't do that.
It's specifically gleaned out. They would go through. Blue Cross has a single customer known as the Hampshire Council of Governments Insurance Trust. The trust has 73 billing units. So Blue Cross doesn't go through and have a bucket for Dudley, have a bucket for South Hadley, East Hampton, so on and so forth. It is a single subscriber, and that's how things are aggregated. The trust is the one that goes through and says, okay, Town of Dudley has, and it's tracked through membership numbers at a local level. So they don't adjudicate claims. I don't go to the ER and they say, oh yeah, we'll pay Rich's claims. Blue Cross does it, and there's a bill presented saying for X services, and it's nameless. So again, if I'm not explaining it very well and you have questions, memorialize the questions. I will get the questions to Joe Shea, who will, at the trust, make sure that the correct people are tapped on the shoulder, and we'll get the questions answered to your satisfaction. Fair enough?
Yeah, I agree with Mike, though. Somebody dropped the ball somewhere in that process. Can't believe it went upside down so quick.
So, Madam Chair, the way this looks locally is that we put this RFP out to bid when Mark Terry's done looking over the paperwork and finalizing it. We put it out to bid for a independent consultant for 3 weeks. Middle of October, we have our bid opening, hire someone, as long as they meet the criteria. And he or she takes a look at it. The firm takes a look at the things we spoke about here tonight so far, which is utilization, whether it makes sense that we would be better to remain where we are or go in a different direction because maybe we don't have as much utilization and we're not dragging the trust down as much as the other 72 member units or some other people from the, and we'll move forward with that. And in the meantime, we form a insurance advisory committee internally. A representative from each union serves on that insurance advisory committee. And the independent healthcare consultant will make a recommendation to the independent advisory committee. So they're not trying to do it on their own. And then we'll have better direction and clearer direction as to which way, what decisions the Board of Selectmen and the FAA should be making. So, I mean, there is a plan in place to address it and make sure that it doesn't continue to get.
Yeah, I was just.
We're not going down
I was just trying to make a point. I'm concerned if I'm not on the Board of Selectmen, but I would be concerned because seeing your insurance company that's using reserves to plug holes in 23 and 24 and now in 25 and doesn't adjust its premium or see it coming. it's something I would be really concerned about, but doesn't mean you're gonna change or anything, but I would be definitely very concerned about that.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, Madam Chair. Again, if you want to memorialize a question, I'm happy to have that answered, absolutely.
There's really not, I really don't have a question. I was just looking at the financial numbers, and it looked like they were using reserves in the last couple of years, not really adjusting the premium to, compensate for that, and then got caught with the usage of, in the beginning of 2025, they got caught with the fat shot, basically. Everybody was on it in 2025, and they didn't adjust their numbers fast enough to adjust their premium, so. And it's not that it wasn't gonna happen, I know the utilization is there, the premiums are gonna go up, they're gonna go up, but it would've been nice to kinda know when we went into the budget process instead of into the supplemental.
So right now, Madam Chair, it's a big timing issue. We're kind of up against it in
Yep.
terms of if the GIC is in fact an option, don't know if it is, don't know if it isn't, or if it's a good option, I should say. We gotta keep moving forward with the RFP, the independent consultant, and, start making decisions. We may even have to meet again in December and kind of talk it through.
I mean, I believe that we did reach out about 6 weeks ago for additional information from the health insurance group to try to get the ball rolling on this. So it has been in the works for a little while, which is why it's showing up on the supplemental budget now. And it is a concern, obviously, because we knew in August that it was going to show up when we were coming back to do supplemental asks, and this is just how it shook out, unfortunately. But yeah, so I don't know. I think that's kind of all we can say on it right now. Is there anything else that you wanted to pull out in supplemental budget with questions or?
No.
Chief? Okay.
Just go over real quick on the police side. Back in March, when we got the proposed budget, the union was in the beginning stages of negotiating a contract. When the budget was passed, we were in the final stages of finalizing a contract, and that's why I'm looking for a supplemental budget, because it's all contractual increases that were finalized towards the end of June by the union and the Board of Selectmen. So those will all be wage increases due to contractual obligations.
Any questions?
No, they're contractual negotiated raises, so I don't have any questions on it. I'm just, is there a way, when we get into these negotiations, we can do these a little earlier? Is that a possibility, and get these things wrapped up before we get into the fiscal budget?
Yeah, I think in the future, we tried to propose to try to get something earlier. I'm not sure if it was on our side, if it was on the union side, but for some reason, we just, we started negotiating in March, and a couple of dates came up, and it just took a little bit longer than we expected. We had to do a lot of research on the town side, comparing our town to other towns, and I think that's why it took a little bit longer. And then when we realized where we were, that's what we had to kind of try to figure out what's the best interest for the town, and we came up to a solution where it makes us somewhat competitive now, because when we looked at the numbers, we were pretty bad. So that's why I think it took a little bit longer, because we did have to do a lot of research and try to come up with something that wouldn't bankrupt the town either.
And through the chair, I think we incurred a little bit more cost when we hired experienced transfer officers. And
Yeah, so
replaced a few vacancies.
So that was one of the things we talked about during negotiations, that if we can bring somebody in with experience, pay them a little bit more upfront. The cost to hire somebody, train them, and get them on the road is about $60,000-$70,000. And then at the end, you don't know if you're getting a good, we call it a product, but a good officer. And if you pay them a little bit upfront more, you're getting an experienced officer. And the last 2 hires that we picked up from Sturbridge, they brought in over 30 years of experience. We did end up paying a little bit more, but you're taking a chance by sending 2 officers to an academy and then training them, and then hopefully they work out for you. These 2 officers have already established their experience, and we picked them up, and they were ready to go on the road within 3 days. So it saved the town a lot of overtime. It saved a lot of town the what ifs. What if an officer goes through training and then they drop out in the academy 4 months in, or at 6 months they don't work out, then you start the process all over again. So that was one of the things we talked about during negotiations. Do we offer that? And we looked at some of the towns. A lot of towns around us are doing that. They're taking officers from transfers and they're giving them the experience. They're counting their experience towards their wages. So in the long run, you are paying, but you're also saving. So it's almost.
A lot of times Dudley, through the chair, would train up new officers and,
And
the other departments would come
they'll
and
set
get them
them up,
because
yeah.
they're paying them 10 grand more a year.
Right.
where they-
No, I
where
get
they're
it.
at,
I get it.
so.
All you have to do is just look on some of the surrounding towns. You see a lot of movement now because a lot of officers are moving around to different departments where they might offer better wages, they might offer better benefits, opportunities, and I think we're very competitive right now than other departments. That's why we picked up 2 officers with a lot of experience, and we've had interest from other officers that want to come to Dudley now. So it's a good sign.
Awesome. Very good. Anybody have questions for the chief?
No.
Thank you.
You do have some unclaimed money for the state of Massachusetts, by the way.
He does.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about 85,000, I think, or 85 cents, I don't know.
Probably 85
I would
cents.
check it though.
I'm just kind of looking through. Under Board of Health, there's an increase for inspection software. Is the supplemental ask replacing the original ask?
No, it was not included in May because
Okay.
it just got, it was overlooked.
Cut,
And
okay.
so she was overspending the account for the phone and the inspection software, and we noticed it
Okay,
too late, so
so we're correcting it now.
we're correcting it.
Okay, just double checking.
One I like.
I'm like, it looks like something's weird. Okay.
John, you're looking for 136,000 for grant design, can you?
Brandon project, that's because we're under the gun with the bridge. We got 600 from an earmark, we got 600 from reserve for chapter 90. We might get some from Webster, we're not sure yet. And we've got a budget that's almost 1.3 for the bridge, so it's razor thin. I wanted to, if we don't need to spend it, I won't spend it, but
Right.
I wanted to make sure it was there so that,
Just in case.
in case.
All right.
It basically covers engineering.
So I'm giving them a second to look through.
I don't see any questions.
No.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay. Oh, any other questions before Sarah goes away? Well, please, the front. Okay. So,
So basically, John, you're looking on this sheet that I have, the 656, 357, and that'll all be free cash? That's what
That'll
you're
be
looking at, free cash.
So we'll be replacing the exact.
And we're not
amounts.
funding anything with stable. Do you know what our stable accounts are right
No,
now?
we're proposing to replace the same amounts that were taken out to balance in May back into stabilization. Do we have those two amounts?
So we have about 600 grand in both right now.
Yeah, we
I think that's what we were gonna leave, right? $604,741.
Does it show on the bottom line of the supplemental? I don't have it up in front of me. Okay, so the article that is deposited into stabilization lists out the two amounts that we took out in May to the penny, which is right there. And then the other was the 600 and change that we're proposing to add into the supplemental to cover all those expenses that we just discussed.
And at this point, we really don't have any idea what our free cash balance will be, because we don't have that one yet.
I think we have a pretty good idea that we'll be able to cover those expenses.
Well, yeah, but I mean, what's left over? So,
Right.
after you pay for all this.
So it could sit there at the bottom line until we prepare for FY '27, we have free cash.
Right.
And we could propose to make additional deposits into stable if we don't need to do anything else with that. So we can put the money, we would put the money back we used and made a balance in October. And then when we prepare for FY '27 in May, you can see if there's a free cash bottom line number and make an additional deposit, which we generally making deposit into stabilization in October when we get free cash, so we could do both means at this point.
Any have any questions? So again, I'll probably see if I can get the FAA together before the town meeting, so we can kind of go over this. I don't see any issues on any of these. But, hopefully we can get a recommendation before the town meeting. If not, we'll do it on the floor, or we'll do it at the meeting. Did you want to go over each article outside of the Article 2?
we can definitely do that.
Article 3. This is the water and sewer article. Do we customarily recommend these unpaid bills? I don't remember us doing that. Don't we usually defer?
I think you do, because I remember you got mad once when somebody was questioning why we should pay.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it makes good financial sense to pay your bills, so.
Right, I mean, it's not a lot of money here. Does anybody from Water Sewer want to speak on it at all, or no?
Everybody's here.
Yeah, both of these, well, we had it as two separate, they've been aggregated in, but the water, was for work that was done, but the bills didn't get here in time. The LaFleur Electric, we modernized the monitoring all of our sewer plants. That was the last two. It was supposed to have been done on last year's budget, but it didn't make it. So, or the bill didn't get submitted in time, and the pumping was pumping that was done right up against the end of the fiscal year. The water departments, Napa, I mean, those are just newer. They didn't bill us. That was due back in March, I believe, but they never billed us. The bill came in after July, so you know, that's an association for, they do a lot of the trainings for continuing ed that the guys have to take. But that's what all of our unpaid bills are.
Scott, what do you do at Slim's?
They pump out the stations. If the work has to be done in a station, a pump fails, or if they have to get down in the station, they'll pump it out. I believe that was for work on Lakeview, one of the Lakeview stations, I believe. But sometimes we use Slims, sometimes we use M&M, sometimes we use, they're a group of there are a bunch of contractors that will call in to do that. They have the big pump trucks.
Anybody have any questions on any of this?
Got to get rid of our poop somehow.
Paid. They all need to be paid.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so we'll take this article up at our meeting. Article 4, this is our normal cyclical inspections, right? Is this the yearly one, or is this every 3 year? Which one is this one?
The sick, I think,
Tenure.
This is, yeah, but we do this, we fund this.
And 1/3 of the town every year.
1/3.
yeah.
This is the 1/3 funding?
Yeah, she keeps, I believe she continues to add to that account to make sure that for the upcoming year, it's properly funded through an article.
Right.
So it just sits there until it's used, and we just try to keep ahead of it.
Thought we were gonna put this into the budget and just leave it there.
What did we decide on that? We did have it
Thought we were
proposed
gonna-
to be in the budget, but for some reason.
Well, just trying to
I
make
think
it
we-
balanced.
You know why, I think we intentionally put that, she wanted it to, the principal assessor asked to have it put on the May warrant as articles, because she knew it was gonna be deferred, but she wanted to make sure there was a placeholder to make sure, instead of having to amend the budget on the floor.
Yep. And the next article, Article 5, that's one we do it's the 1/5, right? Correct?
Yep.
Is this right, FY 2028?
Yeah, because that's when they redo it, right? In 28? We funded it in 24, 25, 26, 28, yeah.
And I think part of the issue is it goes by calendar year, like they work the entire year, so there's always that intersection
Yeah.
year after year, so it shows up a little bit. It shows a little bit off on the articles, but that is correct. But
Anybody have any questions on those? Article 6, John already spoke to this. Putting 604, 741, replacing what we used in stable.
correct.
No objections
Well,
from me.
294 into capital improvement stable and 309 into the regular stable, for a total of 604, 741.
I'll go back to Article 7 in a minute. Article 8. John, can you explain that one again?
So this is, you recall, we had a couple of retirements all at once. We
Mhm.
were scrambling last year. to meet those buyout amounts, vacation time, anything that was remaining, we were required to buy out for the retiring employee. We don't have any retirements coming up, but we want to keep throwing at least a small amount until we have a retirement on our radar screen. That way it doesn't sneak up on us all at once. So just to keep it moving
money in
year
there?
after year, it makes more sense than trying to cobble together $100 grand.
Anybody have any problem with that?
I don't have a problem.
And we're trying to incentivize notification of retirement as early as possible by giving the employee $500. And I don't know if that made it into the last contract did it make it into highway or police the last time around as an incentive? We want to incentivize early notification. So if you know that you're gonna go in a year and a half, 2 years, and you let us know 2 years in advance, we'll give you $500 or something like that, just to incentivize the early.
Yeah.
And then we can plan for it
We don't
accordingly.
get caught. Article 9, do you guys want to touch that one?
Doesn't make any difference to me. Jenna?
Do you need a recommendation from FAA on this one?
I mean, it would be appreciated, but it's not necessary.
You were a member of FAA, so I mean, we can do that favor if it's
Right.
important to you. Okay. And Article 10,
What business is that for?
Through the chair. So Article 10, the ABCC released new guidance on the procedure for essentially transferring from a wine and malt only license for an on-premises to an all alcohol for an on-premises. So KP Law released guidance on how we would go about accepting the ABCC's new policy via town meeting, and that's what this is.
So it's local acceptance versus having to go through the state to do it. We would approve it locally as opposed to first getting state approval and then going through local acceptance. And in order to do that, you have to accept that provision.
So this just allows us to have the mechanism to do it correctly if it did come up.
Correct. It's still gonna go through a process, but it doesn't have to go through the state process and then the local process. It goes right to the local process.
all right. Article 11, Highway Commissioners. Are we changing the fee or something like that on us? Position of 300 each.
That's for the, MJ's on his way up, Madam Chair, and it's for the illicit discharge of sump pumps and so forth into the town
So
streets.
is the underlying words being added or removed?
Right now, we don't have a stormwater, for the stormwater, the discharge of water in the roadway. We don't have any fines, or we don't have any backing. So if somebody's discharging waters, I could just tell them, no.
Yeah.
Just keep doing it. So we don't have any backing on, like a fine or anything like that, so we're just trying to change some wording. It's actually under, I think, the water department bylaw. It's actually under for stormwater management. But people like discharge sump pumps and stuff like that into the roadway. It freezes in the winter. I have ice. I could tell them not to do it. Continue to do it, and there's no way to stop them.
Is 300 customary?
Yeah, I mean, that's why, I mean, we looked at other towns and stuff, and they just said, like, apply a fine, and just to keep them from doing it. You have a lot of ice dams and ice problems in the winters, and it's just destroying the roads, too. So,
So the underlying portion is the proposed additional language. Right now, the
Adding a
bylaw
300.
says you can't do it, but there's no way to enforce it.
Okay. I'm assuming the lawyer looked at the language and that's, Good.
Well, that's why we have the, no, well, we will have it reviewed before we vote on it. If there's anything inappropriate, she already has it. She hasn't given me any feedback on it yet.
Okay.
But if there's anything inappropriate, we'll have it amended or removed.
all right, thanks. Article 12 is the, John, I think you talked about this a little bit. This is to get us through the end of the fiscal year. Is that January through the end of June? Is that what you're?
That's right. So the town meeting voted to borrow the money from July 1st to December 31st. And it's $349,000. If you look at the supporting documentation, if you're interested, the ledger has all the expenses that we've
I've
spent
seen
on
it.
the Eagle so
Yep.
far. And we're about $121,000 deep into the 349. So the spending is on track, maybe a little bit more optimistic than we thought it would be. It was less than we thought it would be. But that's okay, because if we're ahead of the game, we don't have to borrow as much money. But right now, what we have estimated from the LSP and from Safewell is $222,000 to bring us from January 1st to June 30th for the remediation costs.
When we put that up the first time, was it defeated the first time?
It was defeated a few times.
This
We had that February special,
Right.
and remember, we had to pay back Gentex, and they had covered the expenses. We had that February special meeting just to try to borrow again, and it didn't fly. So Gentex stepped up and said, we'll cover you, but we want our money back. And fortunately, the town meeting approved it in May. And we paid them back.
Did you give any consideration to free cashing this
I did.
and maybe financing the insurance premium? Since this got defeated.
We can't risk not having our insurance,
Just
not covered.
just wondering if you had just thought about it, that's
Yeah,
all.
I mean, I see what you're saying, but if that article didn't pass, we're gonna have every union member in the place, and I'm gonna be mad too. But what are you gonna say, no? We're not paying for your health insurance?
No, I'm just wondering if you considered it, that's all. Not that I would support it, but I'm just wondering. if you considered it.
Mr. Sullivan?
And I think, Madam Chair, what happened too, you can back me up, we asked for the full fiscal year. It was defeated, but we had the extra
Right.
article just
So we
to
cut
fund
it in
6
half.
months.
Yeah.
Right.
So we tried to fund it, be done, but we gave the option to do the 6 months knowing we had to come back.
Mm-hmm, that's right. Because it was closer to 900,000 when we first looked at it, for the whole fiscal year.
So we tried to make it more palatable,
All right.
knowing it wasn't gonna cover the whole term.
All right. I guess that brings us back to Article 7. So obviously, this is the exact same thing that we brought up last time it was defeated. Don, is there any changes in anything in terms of the engineering, the bidding price, the actual price? Look at anything that might have been changed to come back with? Or we're gonna go basically same plan?
So I've sent this back to them, and there's been no changes in the cost. And I've asked them that exact same question. And that's still what they're estimating. We have that scope and design grant, so they're really sharpening their pencils and getting a fine tune on that number, but 14.2 still looks like the number it's gonna be. But I really encourage people to come to that meeting on October 6th. Whether you're for it or against it, at least come in and ask the questions of, everybody that talks to us is gonna be there. So the community has the opportunity to come in and ask the questions to the same people that are giving us the same information. And so, and we're gonna have another presentation at the town meeting as well.
I don't know if this is the forum for it, but where are we with Gentex in terms of an agreement?
Yeah. We haven't even been able to successfully fund the project, so I think they probably want to see the same thing we want to see, how much of the loan forgiveness is going to be involved, how much is going to be PFAS related versus, for example, the installation of fire hydrants, which they're going to, they could say, well, it's not Gentex's issue with the fire hydrants, it's a requirement of the town, so we want to, things like that. we're just not far along enough to get to any point of general agreement. But we do, in spirit, agree that it's gonna be a split cost, whatever it turns out to be. But we just need to know, we have more information and figure out how much they're gonna pay.
I just don't want people getting up defending this and making statements like, we have an agreement with Gentex to pay for half of this, because that happened last time.
Right.
And we really didn't have an agreement to pay for half of this. We had, the agreement had run out, so I don't want people to be misled either, so.
Mr. Sullivan?
But, Mike, to that point, to what Mr. Ruda said, it's very important to come to the 6th when they're here, because what you just said, I think, was part of the problem. We have a cost-sharing agreement with Gentex mandated by DEP. We don't have a solution payment with DEP, with Gentex, but we do have a cost-sharing agreement. And that's what he was alluding to when he said Gentex stepped up and covered all the costs while we sorted through town meeting votes. So, again, not everybody can make a town meeting, not everybody can make a public hearing, but that's, you get your answers October 6th, if, like he said, up or down, yes or no. Get it when the professionals are here, and you can get the answer. But we do have a cost-sharing agreement with Gentex right now for mitigation.
Mitigation or remediation, cost-sharing agreement, that's right.
People have to understand it's not the final solution, which I think Mike was asking. Do we have a final agreement? But we don't, because we don't even have a final solution.
Regarding that October 6th meeting, would we be able to, I imagine we kind of take public questions all the time, but would we be able to put out a call for public questions ahead of the meeting? If people can't make it, but they have specifics that we can bring up in the meeting, just in case it's something that one of us, we're not thinking about. If, people in the community can't show up on a Monday night, like you're running around with your kids, whatever the case is, they can fire off an email to us and say, these are the concerns that we have and the questions that we have for DEP. And then, we can put those forward, or not just DEP, any of the experts that are coming in to talk to us at that meeting.
I think that makes sense, and I know that Weston and Sampson has had, the LSP has actually been walking around the neighborhood with FAQ sheets, knocking on doors, handing them to people, asking them face-to-face if they have any questions or how can he help. So they're really going above and beyond to try to involve the community, that neighborhood in the project. So I think it probably would make sense to do something like that.
Okay.
We can certainly publish something and ask for those in advance. You may get some good questions, and may get some that may have to be looked at a little further, but I don't think it could hurt.
Right, on that note too, Madam Chair, I think if they email the Selectmen's office, in conjunction with you, obviously, I think we should let the administrator or the ATA flag, I'll make it up. Somebody asked at one of the meetings, do I get free water? You know you're not gonna get free water. That's not a question you're gonna address that night.
Right.
Online. So try to keep it serious, try to keep them sincere, but I'd allow these folks with you have the ability to cull that out beforehand, so we're not sitting here, you're not on, no, I'm not gonna do that one, because people are gonna think we're hiding something.
Right.
So just keep them serious and sincere.
I do know that we received a written, if you remember, we got a question about actually moving the dump with the source of the contamination somewhere else.
$14 million.
Yes.
No, it was 75 to 100 million.
I'm saying the guy wanted to
Yeah.
use the 14 million.
Yeah, so we actually went ahead and had Weston and Sampson Time Bond work together and come up with an answer to that, and they actually went through the process of what that would cost, and it was 75 to $100 million.
To move the dump.
To move
That
the
doesn't
dump.
fix the water problem.
It still doesn't fix the water problem, because it's already in the ground.
Did you think of flying all of this stuff to the moon? Maybe that could work.
The only thing that will fix it is to treat it.
Real.
Oh, sorry. Mr.
worries.
Siganovich.
If you're not
Okay.
using the
Spacing.
Could we also, for that meeting date, get the cost of continuing to go forward with renting and maintenance versus being done with it and putting the line in? Because I think the concern most people are going to have is going to be financial. And it's just like a house. I said it before. It's cheaper in the long run to buy it, put the line in, be done with it, as opposed to something else.
I think
Not only
we
that,
can-
if
Did we have one
We
of
had
those
those
for the
numbers.
last
We'll
meeting?
make sure
I
it's
thought we had
updated.
one
we
for-
did,
Yeah.
but yeah, just to stay with that, and then, I mean, now we know, like moving the dump, that was a thing, people thought we could, and, you know,
I think the confusion too, Kerry, was the person specifically wanted to use the 14 million, like we had that check, that we could just allocate it somewhere else. We couldn't even, that mechanism didn't even exist.
Right.
Doesn't even exist.
And, the chair, and we also didn't have the discussion that moving the dump doesn't change the water
Right,
table.
that's already, the plume's already there, it's
Yeah,
gone.
So, if we were smart enough to get up and say that in the meeting, it would fill that.
No, maybe
discussion.
not.
At least it would have been an answer then. Woulda, coulda, shoulda.
John, is the SRF loan, that's still on the table for us, right?
It's still on the table. We haven't gotten the official confirmation that we've even gotten the loan again, because it goes away when we said no the first time, we had to reapply.
Mm-hmm.
But we have good reason to believe we'll get the loan again. I mean, we'll know soon.
Well, and it'll cover all of our half, right? If, assuming,
It'll cover.
Gentex did agree to pay for the other half, it would cover our full half.
It will cover the entire 14.2 million. And then, but we still have to pay the loan off, so that's where the negotiation comes in.
The 14.2 is the maximum.
Right.
Anything less than that would be Gentex's portion, I think is what you're saying, right? 14.2 is the maximum amount. Less, we haven't even less Gentex amount yet.
So we would finance the 14.
Right.
We would finance the project and then have an arrangement with whomever the responsible parties were,
Right.
including Gentex, to pay off the loan,
Have their portion.
which is a 0% loan with loan forgiveness.
Through the chair, just to bring us back to other large capital expenditures, if there was potential other sources of paying off the loan, we still have to take the loan out for the full amount
Correct.
and then negotiate those things afterwards.
Right. That's correct.
Portion of donations or something like that is
Mhm.
other cases we've seen, not
That's
that this
right.
would
Get
happen.
lawsuits.
And I think I've mentioned it before, Madam Chair, that we're pursuing the class action suit for both, not only on the water and sewer enterprise side, and I think they've gotten some money for it already. But we're also pursuing a special fund that would address the contamination of private wells and the costs associated with that. Doesn't mean we're gonna get 100% reimbursement, but we'll get something. And we're gonna put in, we're applying for a reimbursement grant through DEP. We just got the numbers as of yesterday for an additional $300,000 or $400,000 that we would apply towards the costs. So any source of funding that we can use to mitigate those costs, we'll use, outside of the tax base.
Any other questions, comments?
No. So basically, John, you'd be looking, if this was able to go through, we'd be looking at about a $470-something thousand payment, roughly. And you would be negotiating with Gentex to cover half of that payment, basically, or for 30 years, or you'd be looking for,
I'd rather wait till October 6th, because the minute I say yes to you,
well, yeah,
probably
but I mean, this is kind of where
the
you,
next 2 weeks of my life will be misery.
It's council negotiating, it's not
Right.
Mr. Ruda. So people say you select, aren't doing your job of town administrator. It's council working on our townspeople behalf.
We'll have solid numbers that'll back up what you're saying, which I don't necessarily disagree.
just looking at it on the surface, we
Yeah,
would,
I don't
as
disagree
taxpayers,
with
we
that,
would be
but-
looking at our share as taxpayers. We'd be looking at about $225 to $230. together, whereas right now, you said, what, we're up to 3-something
Well,
for a
if you look at
yearly
the-
testing?
We did 349
All right,
first time around, another 222, so we're into 600, almost 600 grand.
right, so the payment
That's
on
not
this
gonna go
would
away,
be
because now we're into other neighborhoods.
almost a third,
Yeah.
Less.
yeah, for 30 years, whereas the other one's just
financials.
gonna keep going until, keep going and going and going and going up. I mean, it just, financially, it doesn't make any sense not to do it, in my opinion, but I don't know what the personal reasons for some people not to.
It's like renting. Think about how much, in here, think about how much, when you bought your house, how much it was to rent an apartment. Your mortgage stays the same. What have rents done? Try and find something in Dudley for $1,500.
True. So. Does anybody have any comments on this?
Well, maybe you'll find it, but I don't know.
I think it would be helpful to have a chart that shows more than 30 years, because you're gonna pay off this thing in 30 years, right? Go beyond that and say, 30 years, you're done paying, but that maintenance, if you don't pay this thing, is gonna just continue to grow, because you know the cost is gonna go up,
And if you keep it at
right? So,
3%-ish inflation, yeah, that's,
Mr. Zakowski?
not that I'm gonna be alive more than 30 years, who knows?
Back, there were 3 informational sessions that were held by the folks from Ty and Bond, and I attended all 3 of them. And one of that exact question came up, and Ty and Bond drew up a chart for 75 years.
Okay.
What it would cost if we put the water main in, what it would cost with normal inflation to continue to do poets. It's already been created and it's already been presented.
break
So,
even was
I'm sure they'll bring it in.
Yeah, I would.
less.
The payoff, paying what we're paying now for remediation would pay off the loan for the 14 million in about 14 years, 13 or 14 years, I believe it was. So after that, after 13 or 14 years, paying for poets, you've run the gamut. You're paying extra. So that's I believe that's what the numbers were. If I'm wrong, I'm not wrong by much.
And that's if the numbers stay the same. If additional homes pop,
That's exactly, all of that was brought up during those informational meetings. I came to all of them. So,
And there's a lifespan on the POET systems anyway.
Absolutely, there
So
is.
the existing systems are, in theory, going to have to be replaced.
all of that was brought up.
Great.
Yeah, upgraded, and God forbid the technology changes. And it will. So,
oh, well, 10 years ago, none of us thought of PFAS. What's going to happen 10
Right.
years from now that poet system can't handle? I mean,
exactly.
I'm not saying it would, but there's the risk of it.
Mm-hmm. So,
That's it for me, unless anybody has any other questions.
right, so so we're FAA can't vote this evening. We can still vote. Okay, great. So I know in the past we've gone article by article and put a hold on them and then just approved everything together. Does that work here? Do we? I think that's what we've done in the
Yeah, I mean,
past.
I'd probably go through each one, and I think we've spoken
Enough.
extensively about each one, so maybe there
Okay.
won't be any holds, maybe there will.
And ask if anybody got a hold.
The only thing that I want to
Yeah.
make sure is, you'll notice that the draft had FAA proposed recommendations on it. So so without you voting yet, just so they're there for the town meeting, I'm gonna put them on the next warrant, and if they change, we're gonna have a meeting before town meeting, you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Schedule
because one of the
something.
bylaw
Get a
requirements is
quorum.
to show what the FAA recommends to the town meeting, so I wanna make sure we have it printed on there. So, I'll wait to hear from you for the meeting date.
When's the next selectmen's meeting? Is it Monday or coming up or
October 6th.
over 6th?
That's the water line stuff, so we don't want to do it then.
Okay, so maybe the following week?
Good?
I think that's Columbus Day on Monday.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Columbus
that's a
Day.
holiday.
Well, we could do another time.
Do it on a Thursday.
I'll let them figure their thing
Yeah.
out, figure that thing out.
Yeah.
Just, I'll make it work. The selectmen are gonna vote tonight, so I can just go to yours if you want.
Yeah, we can do it. You want to do it on a Thursday? All right. And you guys mind doing it a little earlier, maybe starting at 6? Because I don't think we'd be here very
I
long.
don't care what time. I'm retired, so yeah. I don't care what time we meet.
Yeah, let me try to get it. I don't want to get it 10 of the day yet, but let me talk.
Madam Chair, I'll take a shot at this if you like,
Please.
without objection from board members. Make a motion that we approve the Town of Dudley meeting warrant, fall 2025, as presented tonight, minus FAA recommendations due to lack of quorum.
Second.
Discussion, I have a question. Should that motion also include authorizing the town administrator to make final revisions as recommended by town council?
Yeah, could be generally given that authority.
You can do that as one motion or a separate motion.
Yeah, we can add that. I mean, if it changes the intent of the warrant article, he would obviously say we gotta revote it.
Right.
Yeah, okay, add that language.
I'm good with that.
Okay, great. Anyone else? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Yay. And since we just covered that third piece, yeah, we're good. We're moving on to departmental communication. Do you want to adjourn?
You never really.
They never really
Never
started, so
really.
I guess you can sneak out whenever you want. But you're welcome to stay, please do.
I'm gonna stick with this.
Okay, so next up, we're gonna start with departmental communication. Sarah's closest to the front, so, okay, treasurer collector, Rich. Come on down.
Quickly,
It was bowling or something.
if there are questions that we need to have answered, absolutely, the invitation is out there, even if it's for an explanation by someone other than me, the treasurer collector. So I encourage that, but we'll have a positive note. Thank you in advance. The Knights of Columbus are going to have their toll booth. This is the Tootsie Roll Drive. This helps those with intellectual disabilities. It's a 100% turnover back to the state and ultimately national for the Knights of Columbus. So it is a high water mark. The council does very well because people in Dudley are very generous. So fingers crossed that we have generous people, great weather, and Tootsie Rolls are good for you. So thank you very much.
Sorry, Rich, is that this weekend?
That is this weekend, excuse me. It's Saturday from 9 to 12. We've sent the email out to public safety. There are no issues.
I know we approved it a long time ago, I just couldn't
You
remember exactly.
did. I appreciate that. Thank you for bringing it up because going through the records, wait a second, was it the 27th? Was it the 4th? And this is the time it's done nationally, so in the next month or so, I think on behalf of Council 228, we'd be asking again. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
MJ, highway?
We just finished up paving on Center Road, and we did some paving on Dudley Southbridge Road, but we still gotta be doing some more backing up the berms, and so just wanna let people know to slow down, look out for us, because we're still gonna be working on the roads. So next probably couple weeks, because it's gonna take a little while to do that, so.
Awesome. Perfect, thank you.
Thanks.
Police? No, all set. Water sewer? Okay. TA, assistant TA, anything? Thinking.
Well, the work has started at Stevens Mill, they're putting a roof on. I'm happy to report that, and it's at least a sign of some progress. It's been a difficult, financial climate for any sort of investment in property like that, and Massachusetts hasn't been the most business-friendly lately, but at least it's progress. And I appreciate you coming out, Madam Chair, and Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Starchevsky, to see the progress in the beginning of that roof. That falls up on the infrastructure project that we got through a grant that improved that entire neighborhood. So we don't waste any time. If we can keep the project moving forward, that's what we've done. Also, the playground is taking shape, and it looks like we're gonna be at the end of the fall and beginning of the season, and maybe have a ribbon cutting in our future, in the near future.
Exciting.
So we're excited about that.
Anything else? That's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it.
Great. Board member comments. Mr. Sigenovich.
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So if this was touched on before, I apologize. I missed the last meeting. Recently, I had a chance to attend the car show at Shepherd Hill. Donation went towards the Bloodhound. I talked to the officers up there. It was pretty well attended. There was a wide range of classic vehicles, and a monster truck, which I think a lot of the kids liked. I mean, monster truck. It was a monster truck. So I want to congratulate everybody downstairs that worked up there. Mr. Ruda stole my thunder a little bit. It was nice to see the roof being done. It was nice having a chance to go over there and talk to the folks, Camden Properties. Again, all the naysayers that criticized the infrastructure work that Mr. Ruda was able to coordinate. That came out great. The roads, the roof's coming, that project's coming. I mean, they sat before us many times. They said there is no plan B, and we're really starting to see their plan A. And also I had a chance to be downstairs for the, is it the rededication? Is that the word I want to use? A reopening for the senior center?
The facelift.
Facelift. I was funded by the Dudley Women's Club via a donation from the estate of Nancy Vukovic. Nancy was an original founder of the Dudley's Women's Club, and through her generosity, they were able to contribute, I believe it was $30,000, they told us, towards flooring down there, which is like a non-slip, non-skid for people that may have mobility issues. And it was a very well-attended event, and I'm glad I had a chance to go down there. It was fun to see some faces we don't see quite as much as we used to, but a lot of good things going on in Dudley right now. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Starchevsky.
Nothing this evening.
Mr. Johnson.
I do not have anything this evening, thank you.
Okay. I don't think I have anything this evening either. So with that, I will take a motion to move into executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A2, to conduct strategy sessions in preparation for negotiation with non-union personnel, or to conduct collective bargaining sessions or contract negotiations with non-union personnel, police lieutenant contract, and the chair so declares not to reconvene into open session, and she does.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call vote.
Usually the mover goes first.
Yep.
Starchevsky, aye.
Stephen Sullivan, aye.
Harry Sigenovich, aye.
Jay Johnson, aye.
Janet DeShane, aye.